This is an area where there's a lot of high dollar people, right? And what you notice a lot of times with the high dollar people, they work themselves to death to get where they're at. Sitting in that little cube. Not all of them, but some of them. And so they work themselves to death for the system, to build the system up, become narcissistic, and then as they get older, and in order to stay in that high stress place, they have to do drugs or drink or something. And so as they get older, they realize they gave up their health and their peace for the system. They sold their soul. And then they're out here trying to recover. Look how busy this place is. They're out here trying to recover what they could have maintained the whole time. And a long time ago, when I was younger, I thought, I want to do a job that for 8 hours a day, it's like I'm being at the gym. Yeah, I might not make a lot of money, but I'm actually staying healthy by exercising and walking all the time and lifting stuff. It's the wrong way. I thought it was for walking. And so I want you to really think about this. If you're in a city, when's the last time you've been in the woods and been around a bunch of trees? Look at this. When's the last time you touched a tree or a leaf or the tree bark? I'm not one of those tree huggers, but when you came from this earth and they're trying to disconnect you from the earth and put you in a cube, this is like when the Indians had a teepee out there. Yeah, you want to have some comfort and a place to have health and all that. But when you walk out here and you get in the middle of all this nature, it reminds you where you came from, right? And also, if you walk on an uneven surface instead of the concrete, it builds your strength up. Because your ankles and you're having to keep yourself. You're building up parts of your body if you're on an uneven surface that you normally wouldn't, because everything's concrete, right? The concrete jungle. And so by doing this, you're going back to nature. You came from this earth, and your body's meant to walk and exercise. It's even sad. I mean, think about it. Just to get out of the concrete jungle and walk in the park, that's a big jump. And then when you're walking in the park and somebody sees you not on the surface, they think, what is... People say, where are you going? Going walk in the park? They look at you like you're funny. And then the ones who are like-minded, they walk in the park. And then you walk over here off the main trail. They look at you like you're crazy too, something wrong with you. But you're actually getting more exercise by walking on an uneven surface and getting back to a situation that's more like the human body is used to. And if you think about it, by walking, there's like a vibration, your body's aligning itself. You see that picture online where the guy's got both his arms out and his legs out. The body almost heals itself when you're walking. It aligns your spine and everything else. Think about what I'm saying. Just think about what I'm telling you. By walking off the main trail, you're going back to the basics of life, right? I actually need to do this at one of my properties. And that is nice because it would redirect the water away from under the house. And so you also have to pay attention to the ground, you know. And so you're actually causing your reflexes to be in tune and all that good stuff. I still have a tendency, even in my mind, even though I'm having an intention to do this, I still have a tendency to walk back over there. But you know it's bad that we've been trained that if the crowd is doing it, you got to do it like the crowd. And the crowd is wrong, but you still have that tendency, you want to be like everybody else. This really is the secret, I think. Staying on the uneven surface, I really believe, is the secret to longevity. Because you're forcing, not all the time now, because you can get back. Hey, you can get back on track. There has to be like intermittent stuff going on. So I walk on a flat surface, I walk on a curved surface, I walk and I do these little sprints, right? Do some bike riding. Yeah, so here's the plan. The plan is get a bike rack 3 days a week. Do some walking. Go back to the car, grab the bike, do the bike riding. I think it's about lunchtime. That's probably what's happening. A lot of these people are at work and they're taking their lunch at the park. He's over here smoking some marijuana. Or maybe not. You got the perfect view, don't you?
Yes, pretty nice.
You've seen some deer?
Oh yeah, I've seen about 7 of them several times.
Wow.
They're over there, they go from there over there, and sometimes they're way down over there in that next field.
Amazing. I don't even know where I'm going. This is when you run across a snake right here. So you gotta stay aware. And they might even be hanging from a tree. You got to do a change up in life. If you just do the same thing over and over and over, and you stay in the city and you go to this restaurant or you go to this theater or you go to this whatever, and you don't get out here in the real, no wonder everybody's depressed. This site was occupied by the 1st Virginia Cavalry under Lieutenant Colonel William Washington, and it was here Captain Griffin Leroy, 1st Virginia, was mortally wounded on March 5th, 1781, born September 1754. 54, 64, 74, not even 30. It's wild. Off the beaten path. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good. Lieutenant Colonel James Stewart, 2nd Battalion, hand-to-hand fight. Captain John Smith, one of the 1st Maryland Regiment, cut down Stewart with a heavy saber. Stewart's death near. Now, in reality, the monument's location is more symbolic than historical accurate. That's what I was going to say. There's no way they know exactly. I don't think I've seen this part of the park. I have no idea where I'm at right now. I took a vacation day to do a change up. This is a weekday, people. And this park's full on a weekday. What's that about? This is really kind of cool. They built this up so when the rain hits, it's a stop to create like a step scenario. So all this stuff's coming down. And all that is a cinder block and some bricks on top. That's pretty smart. If you're in the concrete jungle, you've got to get out of it first every so often. You've got to do a change up. I did a big change up this year and I thought it was supposed to, I thought it looked good. I thought it was a new life, but I realized early on that it wasn't. It was kind of painful. A lot of trouble. No pain, no gain, right? You know that God allows stuff for a reason. And it's actually like the door was like open. It's like, I remember this winter, like the weather, for 4 weekends in a row, the weather was perfect. And I always look for signs of the universe. And it's possible that people are really trying to change, but something just holds them back and they can't go. I mean, there is a possibility. Let me explain it this way from a generic perspective. My personal experience doesn't really matter when I'm doing these. Maryland's tribute to her heroic dead, erected by members of the Maryland Historical Society, the soldiers of the Maryland Line, 1781, 1892, non omnis moriar, or something like that. I don't know if it's Latin or what. Omnis moriar. So let me just, instead of me making it personal, let me talk generic. So it's almost like you might have somebody who's really thinking about leaving the system and going back to being genuine and natural, back to the normal. A lot of people have been hurt and abused their whole life, and they might have been the abuser, but they're trying to wake up. 3 Continental soldiers. So they might have been the abusers maybe God was trying to pull them out of the cycle, the low vibration. So somebody's on low vibration and you see them trying to rise up, but something just pulls them back. It might be you. God is trying to pull you out of the matrix, the 3D repeat simulated training program, but you go back into it because somebody, family member or ex or something, pulls you back because you're not walking by faith, you're walking by sight. And so if God is pulling somebody, he will keep tugging at them because he knows the future. So whoever it is, he's going to keep pulling them. They face off with somebody who's genuine and real love and real concern for their soul, their spirit, their body, their health, and they reject that. That's sad. They want to manipulate that. They want to try to bring that person down to low vibration with them. I don't think so. I don't know if, because a low vibrational creature doesn't even know what you're talking about because they're stuck in the flesh mind. That's all they know. But I'm saying God is trying to reel them in and pull them out of the matrix, out of the system. I think if I cross through there, I can hit the main road. Let's do this. People don't think you're crazy. I'll probably hit a snake. Or a spider. I just saw a spider. Oh, it's a river down there. Something. Spider web. I'm not supposed to do this, probably. Nobody's cared. So somebody's in the low vibration flesh mind, and you're telling them about the spirit mind of living in the now, living in peace, being content with what you have. The more stuff you got, the more it owns you, So the best thing to do in life is live in the now and be content with, find something you enjoy doing. If you don't like your job, why? Either learn to like it or change jobs. I'm not going to go near that ball because there's probably a snake or something in there. I probably was not supposed to do this, but I did it anyway. Off the beaten path. Off the beaten path. A lot of these people are here to do this to lose weight, but they don't realize if they just cut back sugar and took some MCT oil, they'd lose 40 pounds in 2 months. Off the beaten path. Cut back stress, cut the TV off, cut the music off, cut the media off, cut the news off, cut back sugar, get outside, or get you a job where you're walking a lot at the job, or whatever it is. But anything you do needs to be daily routine. In other words, if you want to be healthy, right, you do it every day, 8 hours a day, 24/7. You don't just do it a couple hours. It's a lifestyle. Let's say you want some wisdom. You have to be meditating. If you really want some deep wisdom, you're going to be meditating 24/7. If you want to see through this matrix, you got to be looking 24/7. You can't get caught back up in it. So when you go back to the 3D and you get caught up in it, you can't see it because you're in it. But when you step outside of it, you can see it. You might say, well, how do you step outside of it? Easy. You want to become more self-aware? I'm going to tell you right now. What did I just say? Don't rewind it. Try to remember. What were you thinking when I just said it? What did you just say 5 minutes ago? You step outside. It's kind of like if this tree was a human. The tree steps outside and looks at itself from the outside in. The way you think, what you just said, what you said yesterday, what you were thinking yesterday. So to become more self-aware, you take yourself out of it. And so this is you looking at yourself from the outside in. And the only way you can do it is the mind of Christ. Because you're already seated in the heavenlies in Christ, right? Did I end up back where I started? You might have. So you've got to do it on a regular basis. You step outside yourself and look at yourself from the outside in. And you remember what you were saying yesterday. And eventually you get to the point where you can remember what you were thinking yesterday. And if you get to that point, because most people never get to that point, I cannot ever go back to living the other way. But if I can't remember what I was thinking yesterday, I know I've stepped out of the 5D experience and I'm enmeshed in 3D. And I'm letting 3D control me. But when you enmesh with the 5D, then you can't not be in the 5D. You just get addicted to it, and that just becomes your normal standard way of living, you know. And when you get to that point, when you talk to people who don't know what you're talking about, you're like, you're really missing out. And if somebody's listening to me that says, what are we missing out on? Well, when you get to the point when you remember what you said and what you thought, you'll actually start to see this is a simulation because your thoughts reflect back and your thoughts manifest and your words and everything that you're doing actually appears in the hologram. So what happens is you start to see through the simulation and realize this is a hologram. And if it's a hologram, it's malleable to an extent. Now, God set the foundation, and you actually become a farmer in the hologram. You become a farmer, a spiritual farmer in the hologram. And then once you hit to the source code knowledge, you realize it's all a worship service. And your body's a temple. And you don't want to drink, you don't want to smoke, you don't do drugs because your body's a temple. And you just want to live a peaceful and quiet life and find whatever your hands find to do it with all your might. For in the grave, there's no work. And so while you're here, you find something you enjoy. And it's such a variety, because it all came from Jesus, that there's always something for everybody. If you get bored with this place, start doing something different and see what happens.